Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Women Starting Movements. This is Sara Connell, and I'm just thrilled, honored, delighted to be here tonight with the amazing Simona Spark. I always put your middle name in there. Simona is here. She is a master coach, an absolute powerhouse, and also the host of a podcast devoted to the changing needs of the modern family, helping parents parent with inclusion and creating modalities and coaching and experiences for parents to be the parent their children need them to be. And I would say, we'll get into this, possibly, Simona, that it's also the teachers our children need them to be, the grandparents our children need them to be, the aunts and uncles and community people that our children need them to be. So Simona brings a message of incredible inclusion, especially doing work around families that are moving through an experience of LGBTQ, whether that's a child, a parent, whoever that is. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much, Sara. Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here and such an honor to have the opportunity to speak on your show. Thank you.
Well, we're thrilled to have you. And this is such an important topic for so many reasons. Right now, so many more families are, children are feeling safer to come out, which is wonderful, but also that presents challenges depending on everyone's, worldview and our cultures and communities. I want a presence too that you're joining us all the way from New Zealand. So we are, let's give like a huge round of applause. And Simona is also going to be at the Women Starting Movements live event. So those of you that are coming will get to meet this glorious woman in person and hear more of her story. And for today, we get to dive in now and talk a little bit about, Simona, when you were, if it was 10 years ago or when you were a child, did you ever imagine that you would be leading a movement about inclusion?
I definitely not. So I will say, though, that as a little girl, my favorite thing to play was playing as a scientist, because with my knowledge from back then, I thought that people, they are inventing something that changed the world. They're scientists. So I kind of wanted to be that person that brings something into the world that absolutely changed the world. So I did not become a scientist. I did come really close to it. I married one, so that's good enough for me. But I kind of knew that it's something out there that is bigger, and I didn't know what it is. But you know how life works. Most of the time, that thing found me.
Isn't that fascinating? It's a theme. So those of you that are watching the episodes as we've gone, we're hearing this over and over. And maybe those of you watching have had this experience of, it chooses us, these movements, these missions. And so Simona, what was the moment, whether it was a turning point or a challenge, that really brought you to your calling for this work?
Yes. So of course, it's the multitude of all the moments in our life.
Moment, right?
Funny thing that you mentioned 10 years ago, because exactly 10 years ago, specifically on July 8th, is when I moved from Romania to United States as a single mom of 6 years old. My son was 6 at that time. And I like in my work to talk about superpower. So for me was the moment when I accessed my superpower. When here I am, single mom, moving to United States with a 6 years old. I had no family on a whole continent. I had no friends, and we did not speak English either. So that for me was an opportunity to really dive deep into my superpower and just expand it. And my superpower is being a parent. So we went through a lot of experiences. Most of them were really bad. We visit hell a couple times with my son. We end up in a bad relationship, into abusing relationship. We end up moving into a shelter. We've been starving. We've been homeless. We've been multiple stories, bad stories that you read about immigrants. And 8 years later, to end up moving in New Zealand was the moment when I decided that everything that I learned as a single parent and regardless of the circumstances, still staying in my power and creating an amazing relationship with my child, I choose coaching as a career, where my niche was, still is, to support parents into how to develop amazing relationship with their children. And then from there, a year later, my son came out as gay. And that was another turning point when I actually decided to go deeper into this particular segment. Who do we need to become as parents in order to be the parent that our child needs us to be, and support them when they navigate this complex, finding their identity through gender expression?
It's such an incredible story. I didn't even know some of the pieces of the journey that you and your son have taken. I didn't even know about some of the challenges that you faced in that initial time in the United States. And I love that you're talking about finding your superpower. And so that's going to be our homework for everybody from today, is going to be to think about, what is your superpower, looking back over the last 10, 20, 30 years, whatever it might be, and saying, because we have it. Simone's an example. As a coach, she knows that everyone has a superpower. And what have you been finding as you've been called to this? You already were coaching around parenting, that's your superpower. And then knowing it's also very specifically to serve families who have a family member who's LGBTQ, and how to navigate that. What have been the biggest challenges?
The biggest challenging for me in my work, or for people that I support, or both?
Let's do both. I think that's a great question, but you personally, and then the people you support.
Yes. So personally, what I found out when my son came out, and nobody prepared me for it, is that I had created a story about who my son is going to become. Like, as simple and silly as like, oh, this kid is going to bring home an amazing girlfriend. And then, but after he came out, I was like, oh, wait, I need to rewrite that story. He's going to bring home an amazing boyfriend. So I was like, I didn't even realize that as parents, we create those stories, who our kids gonna be and how they're gonna behave and who they're gonna become. And what really struck me is that we are doing it based on the stereotypes of binary world. So therefore, that for me was the moment where, like, okay, we're gonna break all the stereotypes. We're gonna let go of all, and that's the biggest challenge. Yeah. Letting go of all the need of controlling who our kids are becoming, and the limited beliefs that everything is pink and blue, right? And I see that for the parents that I'm working with as well, or any other member in the family, because here's what's happening. I like to call myself a relationship coach, because I deal with relationships. You never work with one person, you work with that person in relationship with other areas in their life, or with themselves also. And when one member of a family came out and owning that new identity, it's absolutely impacting everybody else's identity. Like, I used to be a mother of a son, and now I'm a mother of a gay son. So my identity changed as well. And another common challenge when one came out is that person is out, is this expression, out of the closet, and then the family, it's in a closet immediately. So then it's supporting my clients. How do you come out as a parent to your friends, colleagues, or where you needed to come out, and also respect and honor your child's privacy. Right. So I'm finding myself in supporting these individuals and their families in mainly just letting go of the shame and limited beliefs, so they could all fully step into their new identity and embrace it and own it.
Amazing. And I almost just laughed there. It's like, no big deal. We're just going to like change our identity. It's like, this is big work. This is big work that you're doing. And thank goodness you're doing it, because I haven't had this experience. Like I haven't had an experience of having a child come out, and I have friends that have. I have, good friends who have been the ones coming out to their families with very different, all kinds of different reactions. And
Mhm.
I think so many people feel under-resourced is something that I've heard a lot from people, like families don't really know how to respond, or don't know, because it's one thing to think theoretically, like, oh yeah, that's great. Like, okay, but then when it's their own, their own family, like you said, a lot of, stories come up, limiting beliefs. So it's really exciting to hear that you are creating, a pathway and support and resources. And I'm wondering, I've been asking everyone this because I love hearing these moments. Has there been a moment with a family that you've supported that just really warmed your heart or inspired you to continue with your movement?
I think the most inspiring thing in my work and in what I experience as a parent of a gay child, right, is when you get to the point of letting go all those limited beliefs and really turning your back to binary stereotypes and whatever societal standards might be out there, you actually get to have an excited life, because you live into a constant state of excitement when you don't expect anything, you don't control anything, and it's like, what's going to happen today? What am I going to learn today? What my son is going to bring to me today? How he's falling in love in a way that I don't have no way of understanding because I never had that experience. Falling in love with somebody of the same sex, right? How that relationship goes. So it's like Christmas every day.
Oh,
And it's, if I could just invite people that are listening to your show to just tap into 1 second into how your life and your relationships in your family would look like if you wake up every morning without that resistance of this is what need to happen. And I might not say it properly, but is that
perfect. Exactly.
right?
Because
So
as you were talking, I was thinking, you know what, this applies to everything. I feel like what I'm getting from this is that there's a state of being in any relationship, as a parent, as a partner, as a daughter, sister, friend, for those of us that are women or whatever, that son, father, whatever it might be, where, like, what if we all approached relationship like that, like without the stories, the expectations, the need to control? I think this is important work for all of us, because whether it's your child is, has a particular sexual orientation different than yours, or if whatever, and I think of all the things like that, I can even see urges in myself, where I think, oh, I have this like agenda for my son to, be interested in whatever. And then I work at that to like go, heck, is that's insane, why he's here to be who he's supposed to be, right? And yet
I,
we, like you said, if we're in this binary world of, control, right, wrong, good, bad, better, worse, we can load all that, onto these relationships, sexual orientation for sure, but academics, athletics, artistic ability, financial determination, any of it, right? Like, wow. So I want to join you. I want to join the movement of being in a state of non-control, of what's going to happen next. It sounds so thrilling. It's amazing.
for me, it's a truly upgrading what the inclusion means, and it's another way of living free, like fully free, right? Allowed, when I say parent from a place of inclusion, allow that child to become who that child needs to become. How it would be like if we allowed our sons to go into the girls department and pick up a dress and wear that dress without calling them transvestite or transgender, or it's simply an expression of the feminine energy. And I mean, those things are happening. Actually, I just came back last night from Samoa, which is the origin of Fa'afafine gender. Fa'afafine is known as the third gender in Samoa. And it's so much freedom in that gender. I have the honor to talk with a few of them, and it's just, I am so inspired. Like, these are people, they are born as male,
Yeah.
and they are allowed to behave and express themselves as female.
Mm.
So you see a full grown man on the street wearing makeup, wearing dress and high heels and jewelry and a handbag, and nobody is staring.
Mm.
It's just another human. For me, it's just, it's fascinating, and I got so much hope that actually we could do this. Actually, we could create a world where nobody needs to come out anymore. We could create a world where anybody get to just be human. They are allowed to express the feminine energy or masculine energy, whatever they fit right, and do it either way or all the ways and at different times, and it doesn't matter. It just matter what kind of person you are, and we don't need those labels anymore.
Incredible, right? This is evolution. Like we're talking, you're leading a movement of evolving beyond the binary codes, evolving beyond the labels, evolving beyond, and that's, you know, again, you're giving me a model for, I've been embedded in the conscious parenting model, kind of, again, like, well, where am I trying to project onto my kid? And that's been my work these 8 years. I've had the privilege of being his mom, and now it's like, oh, there's a whole nother level of this where we're not, beyond, obviously he's young, but beyond where we're having these labels as human beings. That's so exquisite. I'm so happy to hear about that experience. It's incredible. And so what would you like? How can people find you? What would you love them to do to connect with your work? Obviously, we'll have everyone has your website. Do you want people to find you on Facebook? I know this is we can't say anything more than just a very exciting announcement that Simona is been selected to give a TEDx talk. So we won't say anything more than that. But when you follow her, whether it's social media or on your website, wherever you want people to go, we absolutely listening to her podcast. More will be revealed, but it's incredibly exciting coming up this fall, and congratulations to you for that.
Thank you so much. Yes, so I will first of all invite people, if they want to learn more about how to parent from a place of inclusion, I will definitely invite them to my podcast. It's called Redefine Family in the Modern Age of LGBTQ. And what I do there, my guests are different individuals and couples from LGBTQ community. They're sharing their story, how they overcome their challenges, how they get to, fall in love, have family, create their own family, have their own babies, and so on. And also organizations, they're doing a lot of work in supporting LGBTQ community. So that will be, I'm creating that as a resource for youth, to let them know that there's nothing wrong with them, and whatever you feel is right, and there is some real story that you could resonate with, and to let you know that you could do whatever you want in life, regardless of what your gender identity is. But it's also a great resource for parents that might be a little bit confused, what my child is going through, how can I support them, and so on. And besides that, I am, as you say, I'm a public figure on all the media. You could follow me just typing my name, or if you want to email me directly, the best email for that will be transformation@simonaspark.com.
Perfect. That's perfect. And everybody with the show, obviously, you guys are going to have all of Simona's links, and so you can follow the podcast. Definitely go check that out. If you want to just be inspired about how we can all be more inclusive in our relationships in general, but certainly all of us that are parents or working with children. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for tapping into your superpower so that you're here today to be a way shower for us. Congratulations, and just keep up the amazing work. I can't wait to see what happens next.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. And I want to thank you for your work to bring us all here and give us the mic so we could spread our message. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Simona. We'll see you guys next time.